And up against who else? Nathan Finnegan, who still has not ended his charge. 25th to 13th. He's going to hold the inside, go defensive on Trangarade, but Trangarade is deeper into the corner. A little too deep. No, he keeps it from going off course with a big slide.
Brings it down. Whoa! Wants to break away again. Just playing footsie with that yellow line and able to hold on to it.
5, 6, 7, 7.5. That is about a second quicker. But Davis is coming through, and Davis is easily by. Kwok Ninh is not quite easily by. They're side by side, and now it's going to be a drag race as they come through. I lost sight of Kwok Ninh, and it seems that Kwok Ninh is going to try and lose sight of Davis as he's going to make the overtake here. He's got the inside down into turn 3, and he's through. 110 miles an hour up the hill. Now it looks like New Hook is going to back out of it. Still, even with the push, this is looking tough for Larson, and Day hangs it around the outside. That's not easy in Griffins.
No, it's not, and now they're going to come down into the cutting where Raymond Day will have the preferred line. They try to hold on to it there. This is where we saw Boucher spin earlier, able to keep it both back under him. They continue to be side by side up the hill.
Wow, this is tough stuff from both of them. Neither willing to give it up.
Into the wall goes Handsome Pete. It's down to 3 cars for the race win. Solo, Cope, and Campbell. Who will make the move first? Campbell makes the duck. Cope with the duck. The block. The dive. The second block. Thomas Cope to the inside. Will Campbell get a run back? To the checker flag. Thomas Cope wins the Daytona 500.
Waiting for that cone. This is gonna be close between the two, and I'm not sure who's it gonna be at the exit. They're gonna be side by side coming out of the pits. Daly chucking that car around the outside, trying to see if there's a little bit of speed, but Romig has it for now.
Oh, but they've got that run down the straight. If there was somebody watching a monitor for him, telling him what he can do, hey, try to pull that Loyola move, but he doesn't do it. He stays on the outside with a defensive move, pushing just a little bit too far. Got some tire smoke as they come off of Charlotte's Web, heading down that straightaway into the museum turn.
And it's going to be a drag race here in a battle of the late breakers between Romig and Daly. Daly diving onto the binders.
NASCAR racing at the LA Coliseum has been grand, but now it's time for Speed Weeks, and the only place to be is here at the Daytona International Speedway, and tonight we are racing for a good cause. This is the Sim Racers for Mental Health Shine MSD Healing Through the Arts 150, and we're going to have all of the coverage live for you here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Hello everyone, I'm Samuel Ryman, and alongside me in the booth is Chad Irvine. Behind the scenes doing all of the button pushing is our director Zach Johnson, and he's using camera sets provided by Dougie Beard. I'm sorry, I've been sleeping under a rock for 2 months, and I really thought we would have got Zach an image by now. You know what else you would have not realized if you've been sleeping under a rock for 2 months? Yeah, go ahead, Chad.
I was gonna say, Samuel, you'll realize he does not have a picture provided yet, but these guys are still driving for a cause. They're from Daytona, and these guys always are going to have a fun time on the 31 degrees of banking, and we always have a great time watching these guys race with the trucks here at Daytona. It's a track that I was at not too long ago in the real world. I was here for the Rolex 24. And Samuel, I have to say, it's always a fun track to catch a race at.
Yeah, yeah, and we're going to take it to our GSRC track guide.
Welcome to Daytona International Speedway. This track began life after Bill France Sr. realized the Daytona Beach road course had outgrown itself. With ambitious plans and the blessing of the city officials, he built what would become the very first super speedway in NASCAR history. At 2.5 miles and with 31 degrees of banking, stock cars easily reach speeds of around 200 miles per hour. Pretty much every car can take the course flat out. This makes for one of the most unique styles of racing motorsports has ever seen. The slipstream allows drivers to stay with one another so easily that it becomes less about the speeds each driver can reach and more about the strategy of racing in a pack. Bump drafting is a technique in which the car behind actually pushes the car in front so that both are able to reach higher speeds. And side drafting is another in which the drivers use the air off the sides of their cars to slow their opponents down. Staying out of trouble is always a difficult aspect of superspeedway racing, and it's not uncommon to see drivers intentionally move to the back of the pack to avoid the chaos. In fact, the high speeds make large wrecks so hard to avoid that the term "the big one" has become commonplace to refer to the almost inevitable multi-car pileups the circuit is known for. Also, entering pit lane is its own skill, which requires practice in order to slow the car up as quickly and safely as possible. Keeping the car clean and in contention is the main goal for much of the event. Then the final few laps, it's a race to the line with any alliances usually dissolving and the driver's urge to win taking over. With it being home to one of the world's most famous races, the Daytona 500, fans from around the globe flock to this landmark circuit. Just like the cars on it, the Daytona International Speedway shows no signs of slowing down.
Welcome back here to the Daytona International Speedway. Well, there you got a nice idea of what it's like from our GSRC track guide. And Chad, I know you were talking about this track a couple of moments ago, but for fans who, I think everyone's familiar with the circuit, but for those who aren't, let's just go over the race details here.
That's 31 degrees of banking here, and these guys have 60 laps to put up with, but all of this distance that they have to put up is going to be a fun race to make it worth it. There's 31 degrees of banking in the quarters with 2.5 miles around the circuit, around this tribal. It's going to be fun to watch these guys duke it out, lap in, lap out. And the biggest thing is, if you take a look at our show race details, is they don't have a fast repair, they have one fast repair. So what they roll off the truck with is what they have to do. They have one repair, and they'll be going to the end with that. So one fast repair for these guys, but overall, you're going to want to try to save that as long as you can, Samuel, because if you burn it too early, you're just going to be playing conservation mode the rest of the way.
Yeah, and you also see their fixed setups, talking about rolling off a truck with those fixed setups. Hey, make sure to check out the Majors Garage, which is the home of 3 Baseline Plus setups, and you can get help from any of the garage coaches 24/7. You can sign up now for awesome, affordable monthly subscriptions, telemetry, coaching, and more by simply clicking on our link in the description below. Also, if you use our special discount code MajorsGSRC, you will get 10% off.
And there you see these guys working their way, by the way. Sorry to cut you off there, Samuel. You see them on your screen cutting off everybody in the pit lane. The one pit stop these guys have to make are going to be crazy just because of what they have to do down pit road. You're going to see guys trying to either brake way too late, brake way too early, run into somebody in front of them, or get run into. It's just going to be insanity as these guys work through. It's only a 60-lap race, but you're still going to have to make a pit stop at some point.
Yeah, all these trucks are going to have to pay at least one time, hopefully not more if they do this for damage, which of course you can repair one time, but it will put you back in the order. And now these drivers are just finishing up a 30-minute practice session here, and then they will all have a track to themselves for 5 minutes to turn 2 laps. And of course here at Daytona, the way qualifying normally works is lap 1 is a warm-up lap pretty much, where everyone's going to try and ride as high as they can up towards the wall, build up speed for the money lap on lap number 2.
Yeah, and that's the biggest thing is you talked about is building up as much speed as you can on the first lap, and that's one of those things in terms of iRacing or even in the real world is you want to qualify as far up front as you can, but even that second lap you have to get it exactly perfect here. Yes, it's flat out. Yes, you're just trying to hold the yellow line on the bottom. But if you catch one of those bumps just the wrong way on the inside, you're not going to end up in the best position. I remember, I think it was a year or two ago in the Firecracker 400, I caught one of the bumps on the bottom in turn 2 just the wrong way. It shot me up to the outside, ended up qualifying for my heat further down towards the back of the field. So yes, it might be flat out the whole way around, but that doesn't mean that you're going to end up qualifying in the first position. It just all depends on how your qualifying run goes and how flat out and where you hit the bumps, and if you can keep it flat the entire way around.
And you can already see on screen right here a couple of trucks tandeming around this super speedway, and we'll see how much of a role that plays during the race coming up. Hey, we've already had a few laughs during this broadcast, and we're going to have plenty of laughs and action throughout tonight's broadcast. But on a more serious note, of course, this is the Sim Racers for Mental Health who are putting on this event, and of course mental health awareness is always a goal that we try to achieve here at GSRC, and especially this time of year, you know, around the winter time where people are inside a little bit more. You might not necessarily be socializing. If you have a friend, you haven't heard from them in a while, go ahead and shoot them a message. But also, this is the Shine MSD Healing Through the Arts 150. The 150, of course, being the race length and mileage today, but the Shine MSD Healing Through the Arts is paying tribute. Well, the drivers tonight are paying tribute to the victims of the farmland shooting a few years ago, and you will see several of our trucks tonight, and we'll take a closer look at them at their windshield banner on the Parkland shooting. My apologies, the Parkland shooting a few years ago. If you look at the windshield banner on a few of these trucks tonight, they will be carrying the names of several of the victims from that shooting. And also, if you go to the league's page, I believe it's also in the description of our YouTube video, we have a link where you can go off and make a donation towards Shine MSD, which is all about trying to help promote gun control and all that. That all being said, it is time to qualify here. We are seeing the number 8 get up to speed on the apron. The blue cone says he can go onto the racetrack. This is Spencer Breslin from the Atlantic. And Chad, I've got to admit, looking at the entry list for this race, there's a lot of names out here that I'm not too familiar with. So it's going to be interesting. And this is something I think every league, every series runs into at the start of a year. You know, a lot of people join during the off-season, come out at Daytona and want upon a good season. And it's going to be interesting to see who our aggressive drivers are and who are our drivers who are going to sit around and wait for the end.
Oh, absolutely. I think that it's going to be fun to watch how these guys play things out, as you see some of them just work their first laps around this circuit on their lonesome, and this first lap's going to be, you know, you don't think it means that much, but the higher that you get, the closer you get to the outside wall, that's the more speed that you can build up. And as long as you can build up as much speed as you possibly can, that's going to mean everything that happens as you work your way towards the checkered finish line at here at Daytona for their first lap here in the Sim Racers for Mental Health series.
Now starting to see some trucks already. I think this is only the first lap of the number 51 here. Let me double check on that. Yeah, this is lap number 1 for the 51 of Caleb Boatwright, and already he's down on the low line, so maybe these trucks only need the outlap to get fully up to speed, and already the drivers are taking the shorter way around here. Let's see if it pays off for them. And we're starting to get some lap times.
Yeah,
and of course, these times are all going to be quite close, Chad.
Yeah, these first couple lap times are all up in the 52, 53 second range, but down in the practice session, the lowest that we've seen are down in the 48s and 49s. So it's going to be fun to watch how these guys play things out, especially in as the race goes on. It's going to be more about how safely you can play things as you continue to work your way here through qualifying. As we work our way around, here comes Alex Bowser across the line. He comes across at 52.451. That's not going to improve to 54.34 actually is where he finds himself. We'll have to see if he can improve on the second lap here.
Yeah, I'm curious to watch Tony Brent in the number 28 truck, because it's surprising me how many of these trucks have committed to taking the low line for their outlap, but Tony's not doing any of that. He's riding up high, and I'm sure there's a couple others out there who have done likewise. And now here he goes. He's going to go to the low line for row number 2. So you see he's quite far down the order, the completion of his first lap, but will he make up for it this time around?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting where these guys sort themselves out. The guy that was P4 in practice, Sean Stevens, he's currently sitting Pete number 1 here in qualifying, but his P4 in practice. The guys in front of him, they have not yet set a time at all in qualifying, so it all just turns out to be how things spread themselves out in qualifying. Just because how close things are here, you can only keep yourself flat out and keep yourself on the bottom line for so long. And it's all about where you hit those bumps here. We're going to have to wait and see how this race plays out. And I think some of these guys realize that you can just kind of hold the bottom, stay at the back at the start, wait for the caution, and try to work your way up as the race goes on.
Well, so that really didn't end up working out too great for Tony Brent. He's only 8th fastest, so yeah, it does look like these trucks are able to get up to speed on their outlap and commit to the low line for their lap number 1. We still see some trucks going around, but it's too late. The clock has hit 5 minutes. Qualifying is over, and it is time to grid up for our 60-lap race here tonight with about half of the field turning times. Sean Stevens will be starting on pole position in the number 27 truck. Double the number 27, you get the number 54. That's John Crow Sr. on his outside. Starting in 3rd place will be Spencer Breslin, and James Morris will be starting from 4th. Cody DeGilles will be starting in 5th place ahead of Matthew Geesty. Chris Goff will be starting from 7th ahead of Tony Brent, who we just had on camera. Chris Brown and Evan Lambert round out the top 10.
And starting from the 11th position is Caleb Boatwright, followed by Brandon Hughes in the number 11 truck. And then it's going to be Alex Bowser and Chris Weaver. Row number 8 is going to be Drew Bernardi and Davey Weaver, with Aiden Wheeler and Kenny Zames in row number 9, followed by Ken Zames and Dustin Nova wrapping up the 20th position.
So all these drivers are drivers that did not set times, including Scott Ricard, Aaron Riolo, Philip Resch, Thomas Frisch, William Kruska, Jason Chilton, Anthony Treepy, Barry Kramer, Alan Capers and Russell Peat starting in 30th, and one more on page number 4, and that's Joshua Stewart, who might be starting in one of the safer spots on the entire grid. Well, we've got about 30 seconds left for all of these trucks to grid up here on pit road, and then they will do one pace lap here at the Daytona International Speedway before we get ready for 60 laps of racing. Again, these are fixed setups. They do have one free repair, and we will get a caution right before lap number 17, and all these drivers are going to stop on pit road in remembrance of the 17 victims of the Parkland shootings. And I mentioned the link a little while ago as to where you can go to donate to help out Shiner's MSD. If you're unable to access that link, I can read it here for you right now. It is shinemsd.networkforgood.com, and that's where you can go to help keep the gun violence conversation going and find out and help support the arts to hopefully reduce instances of gun violence in the future. But right now, all of our 31 trucks are up on the 31 degrees of Daytona banking, and the pace car's going a little faster than normal. I don't know if that's something recent in iRacing, but I kind of like it. This is going to be a quick pace lap here.
Yeah, that's one of the things I love that iRacing has done, is picked up the speed of the pace car here. I think it's worked its way up to 70 miles an hour on the Daytona Oval. It's somewhere around 90 miles per hour on the iRacing Super Speedway that they added last season. But just watching these guys, they're already weaving their way of working their tire temperatures up, trying to do everything they can to make sure they are in the prime position to capture their victory. You see on the outside line a couple of those C4 Motorsports trucks. They're going to want to work their way up to the front of the field. Do they work together? You have to think that they will. And that's John Crow Sr. as well as James Morris. They're up on the top line between the 54 and the 21.
Pace car's actually going at 80 miles an hour, coming out turn number 4 here. He's hauling it, but I'll tell you what, all of these trucks are about to be hauling it because the pace car's about to make a hard left turn. He's going to have to slow down to pit road speed limit. These guys aren't, because they are waiting for Barney with the green flag. In the flag stands, the camera bulbs are flashing. Here we go. Nice start, but two trucks already sliding through the grass. Doesn't bring out the caution because they're on the apron. Oh, and it does bring out the caution. We've had the admins throw the yellow.
Yeah, and that was an early caution there. If you're some of the guys towards the back, you're A-okay with that. I think that most of these guys are just kind of thinking, okay, we haven't gained, we haven't lost. The only thing that I'm not aware of, or not sure of at least, is whether this is going to be a single or double file restart. And here's a look at the replay. You see these guys just hit the gas, the green flag comes out, and there's just a big check up there. The 14 goes around. It wasn't the most significant of contact, but the caution comes out right away.
Yeah, and the 14 actually started on the high line, but then went down to the low line. I guess Aharon Riolo thought he would be safer down there, but obviously it wasn't to be. Unfortunately, the front end of that 14 truck got pushed in a little bit, and he might have to take his free repair already.
Yeah, Caleb Boatwright in the 51 looks like he was pushed around there as well, as we took a look at the replay just a moment ago. Here's the look. We'll take one more look. There you see, just did not get the launch. The 51 spins around to the inside, get pushed from behind, and all the way skidding across the grass, across the pit road entrance. And yeah, it looks like just 3 cars involved in that one. Where we wind up being just determines where the stewards put us. But yeah, it looks like it's going to be the 27 there. That was the 3rd car involved in that one. That's going to be, I believe I said 27. That's 28 of Tony Brent. Actually, that was the other car involved in that incident. 27 is the car that's at the front of the field right now with Sean Stevens.
Yeah, well, we had a few trucks go spinning, but we actually have several trucks down in the pits right now, and I think a few of them are carrying damage, because even though we only saw a few trucks go spinning there was a massive checkup, especially on the inside line, that sent the number 14 for a spin, and a lot of those trucks are carrying a bit of damage and having to come in to get it repaired. So this is going to mix up the order a little bit. Or maybe some drivers just feel a bit uncomfortable in the middle of a pack and would prefer to be at the back for the restart. But we'll see how it goes. Sean Stevens, I think, is definitely sitting in the position everyone wants to be, because he had a nice start to get a jump on the field, but obviously all for naught right now because they're all bunched up together. Tony Brent has apologized to his competitors in the chat, taking the blame for our first caution of a race here.
Yeah, that's one of those things that, drivers are trying to get used to where they are on the track and what cars are going to do around them. And, unfortunately, that's one of those things that builds up is, you might get into a situation that you've never been in before, but these guys getting ready to get themselves back to green flag racing. I think we've got another lap here under caution. Just overall, it's going to be a fun time to watch, and we've still got plenty of racing left here to go.
Trying to work out. Okay, so Jason Chilton started this race from the pits, and so that's why he's on the tail end of a lead lap. That's why he just got wove around the pace car there. So he'll get to grid up with the trucks for the first time today.
Yeah, and the lights on the pace car there that you see are off. So these guys already forming up with plenty of pacing left here on this lap before they go back to green. Once they come back, next time around, they're going to get the green flag. But they're already getting pretty aggressive with how they form up here for the restart.
And this is one thing that's going to make the wave around a little bit more difficult for these larger tracks. Jason Chilton still has a little ways to go to catch these guys who are going, quite fast, halfway down the back straight at 80 miles an hour. Chilton's entering turn 1 right now, so I think he'll catch him in time. But you've got to be on it. That's something we're going to have to get used to on iRacing here now.
Oh, yeah, for sure. You just try to catch them as close as you can. You don't want to make too much of an advantage building your speed up through turn, trying to catch the field. But because we've seen iRacers do that, where they get as much speed as they can trying to catch the field, and then all of a sudden they end up jumping about half the field trying to get there off. But there you see the iRacing pace car pull to the inside. The green flag is out. And the 27 of Sean Stevens leads his way back to the green flag. And we're back under green flag racing here from Daytona International Speedway.
And they've all made it further than they did last time, so kudos to them. But Sean has a lot of trucks already right on his rear bumper. The fastest lap, of course, continues to be set, as we haven't really had a proper lap of racing yet. But this time we've got a nice little race on our hands here with Spencer in the number 8 leading the tandem up high. We've really seen these drivers work on each other, and there's one car spinning in the infield. Down the back straight, he's on the apron though. Oh, and the 8 was not clear. The number 8 comes down low, and now we have a big incident entering turn 3.
The biggest thing is for these guys is trying to get through cleanly, but they just continued to pile in. Who is going to get through clean? The 8 was not clear. He unfortunately went around on the nose of the 27. Sean Stevens got through that with just that right front damage, and it looks like, unfortunately, most of the field does have to take their fast repair. Plenty of drivers here. As we take a look at the GSRC replay, there you see the 8 on the outside line. The 27 was there as well. 8 tried to cut down to the inside and unfortunately had nowhere to go. And just everybody piled in behind because they're all piling in here at 190 miles an hour. And the worst, I think, of that was the 89 who you just saw there. Barely lock them up, barely got contact there with the 8, and a bunch of drivers unfortunately collected in that one as we continue to work our way here around lap number 6 at Daytona.
Yeah, so we obviously had one car spinning down the back straight. You know what? I almost wonder, from that angle, it almost looked like Spencer Breslin, he wasn't trying to go down low, but he was kind of forced to go down low because he was getting bumped so hard from behind. I wonder if he got out of shape and he was actually trying to get out of the way of a truck behind him. Watch this.
Yeah, we'll take a look one more time here at the replay. There you see the bump from the right rear side of the bumper. And yeah, it looked like he might have just lost it on his own. Regardless of what the 16 there might have done to him, I think that overall it just turned out to be that's what happened to the truck. He spun down to the inside and unfortunately got the worst of that one. But overall, I think that these guys just need to settle themselves in. This is a second caution already. We're only now 7 laps in. It's only a matter of time to see what happens here for the Sim Racers for Mental Health 150 here at Daytona.
Yeah, and remember, we will be under caution at lap number 17, no matter what happens. So we'll, at this rate, we may end up having another caution or two before then. Well, through all of that, the number 27 is no longer your leader. The number 25 of Cody Drills has taken over the race lead. And then we've got Chris Goff there in second place in the number 88. Pretty much all of the trucks are still in the race. We do have a couple of trucks 1 lap down, but it's easy enough to get back at this track. But of course, the problem now is a lot of these drivers have already used up one of their free repairs. Now, that being said, there was some nice wreck avoidance by some of the drivers further back in that pack there. That wreck could have been a lot worse than what it was, and kudos to any of those drivers who did get through without tearing up their trucks.
Yeah, with as long as this race is, it's all going to come down to how well you can protect everything. And these guys can do everything they can for the longest time. I'm not sure what the entire fuel distance is under green for the trucks, but overall, it's just going to come down to who can protect their stuff for the longest. If you need to take the quick repair at the end and try to get a new truck, it just turns into who's got what they have at the end, how fast you can go, and try to go just as fast as you can towards the start finish line. These guys work their way across the line here to start to finish lap number 8 out of 10. Now working their way down, or 8 out of 60, working their way down into turn number 1.
Caleb Boatwright barely got out ahead of a pace car. I was actually rewinding the replay on my sim there to make sure he... Oh, okay, they're adding an extra lap to caution here because of trucks coming out in front of a pace car. They're giving them time to catch up.
Yeah, it looks like the 51 did get caught with a black flag there as well. There you see him in the Rowdy Energy Racing machine. Working his way back to the tail end of the field. But these guys doing everything they can. We're early on in this race. There you see some of the guys at the front of the field, the 27, trying to catch back up with the 56 of Cody Giles. And these guys doing everything they can just to kind of hold the inside line. I wouldn't put it past them just to put themselves nose to tail on the restart and get themselves ready to go right off the bat here. But I think we're going to have one more lap to go there. As you see, the lights on the pace car are still illuminated. So one more lap to go before they are extinguished here at Daytona International Speedway.
Yeah, and at the back of this pack, actually, just out of camera shot, we got some rearranging going on, so that's kind of contributing to that. Two of the trucks I've noticed, the 83 of Philip Resch and the 14 of Aharon Riolo, they are carrying a lot of damage on their trucks, but they're staying out there, they've came in for repairs, but they're doing it the hard way. They haven't taken their free repair, and my guess is they're gambling on this race, having a few more cautions, and they're going to ride their first truck until they can't go any further.
Yeah, that makes complete sense. If you know that you can't get any more wrenches on this truck towards the end of the race, it just makes as much sense to say, I'm going to take what fixes that I can and to protect my truck the longest amount of time that I can. These guys starting to work their way down the back straightaway as we get set to go back green flag racing, but I cannot wait to see these guys get a green flag run under their belts, because we see them time and time again, especially in practice getting ready for this race. They've put themselves in scenarios where they can make some moves. We just have to wait and see what they can get done.
Well, they're working their ways through turn 3 and 4 right now. This is our second caution we're finishing up here. The first one took place pretty much right at the start of a race. It was a manually thrown caution after a couple of trucks went spinning off in the infield. Our second incident was a bit more severe. We had a bit of tandeming gone wrong, it looked like, which kicked off a multi-truck incident in turn 3. I have a feeling we're going to see more tandeming, though. Let's see how it goes as a green flag is back in the air, and we are racing here again at the completion of lap number 9.
And with the way that I think that the first couple of starts and restarts have gone, these guys going to settle, just kind of settle into line, maybe be a little more patient than what we've seen over the last couple of green flag laps that we have seen, as the first couple of cars starting to get single file. And yeah, it looks like a lot of cars now getting themselves into line, just kind of biding their time, trying to see what they can do and what their car has for them when they get to single file racing.
Hayden Wheeler is the one leading the outside line in the number 13 Pizza Hut truck, but he's fading back to 6th position. So I'm not sure that's really working out for him. As you mentioned, a lot of single file racing on the bottom line. I think it was a lot of bumping and tandeming that kind of threw everything off last run. It looks like these drivers are being a little bit more sensible about that this time, but let's see. It's only lap 2 of this run.
Yeah, the biggest thing for these guys is just being single file for so long, especially when nobody files in on the high side. You have to expect that outside line, especially here under the lights, when it's nighttime, when the track is colder, you'll expect somebody to set in line on the outside and try to catch right back up. Does the 27 poke out? He does not. And it's going to be the 12 of Barry Kramer there on the outside. He's gone from 28th to 1st. He's up 25 spots, and we're only about 10 laps into this race. What a move there from the 54.
Yeah, so a lot of big movers early on here. Barry Kramer, I think, actually in that number 12 truck there, the light blue truck, it definitely stands out here. We got one truck grazing the wall going through turns 1 and 2, but no major harm. I'll tell you what, they're really getting tight together up there on the high line. I'm not really liking the looks of that.
Yeah, you just see kind of bobbing and weaving, trying to get their noses clear of traffic, trying to get any bit of clean air on their nose that they possibly can. This early in the race, that might tell me they might be running a bit too much tape. It's a fixed setup race. So you would hope that that would not cause an issue, as we see them side by side, and we are 2 by 2 once again. Once we got going green, oh, there's a truck back to the inside. That's the 21 machine, as he's going to drop all the way back to the inside. We stay green. That's James Morris, though. That was the car spun to the inside, and fortunately enough, we continue to stay green. The biggest thing, though, about that is just staying 2 abreast. We talked about it on that restart, is cars trying to stay in line. Can they do it? The 54 there of John Crow Sr., the teammate of the 21 of Morris, and just have to wait and see how things file out as we get settled back in here. Oh, and multiple cars around. That's going to bring out the caution once again.
We had one truck, the 52's kind of perched up in the wall right there. We had one truck bounce off of a wall in turn number 4, and it was kind of a train reaction, and Russell Peets was part of what brought out the yellow there. He was one of the first trucks to spin, but looks like he got away without too much damage. I think a reason we were seeing so much aggressive racing during that stint there, Chad, is the knowledge that there was about to be a caution in a couple of laps for the lap 17 tribute, and the drivers. So it was number 13 in the Pizza Hut machine that bounces off a wall, and I think everyone behind was kind of reacting to that, and that's a hard hit for the 52, and that ends up blowing his engine.
Yeah, you see the 52, he kind of got bumped up into the outside wall and kind of kind of got bumped up there. He just kind of stalled out with all the momentum that he had. And that's just one of those unfortunate things about iRacing is, yes, it is a video game. So he got kind of pushed up into the outside wall. His momentum instantly died. The 92, unfortunately, was the one that pushed him up into it. But have to wait and see how all the other cars around them fan out. But the way that these cars have fanned out on the restart so far, it takes a lap or two for the outside line to get formed up. And I think some of the drivers at this point have realized that. So I think a lot of guys here are going to set themselves in line, just kind of try to tuck themselves there and see how long they can stick around. And then once we get to a couple of laps to go, what's going to happen there on the outside lane?
So this is lap number 15. And again, we mentioned it a little while ago, Chad, that everyone's probably going to have to pit once. But the way this race has been going, it makes sense that if you don't have to pit, you probably want to stay out there as long as you can and keep up towards the front, because it's the middle and the back of a field where we've seen things get in a little bit messy.
Yeah, save fuel, save tires, save everything you can, especially that quick repair that you might have. You don't want to make that dive down pit road unless you absolutely have to for some of these guys. But they continue to work their way around here at Daytona International Speedway. And it's just a matter of time before, we talked about the last one where one driver went around and everybody piled in behind them. But we've yet to see the big one come out here, as we're still early on in this event.
Yeah, and I kind of agree with you there. The second caution was fairly big, and that was a multi-truck incident that took out several trucks. Well, didn't take out, but involved several trucks running towards the front. But like you say, it could have been a lot worse. There were a lot of drivers who did a good job slowing down for it. With this many trucks still in the field, and with what we've seen so far, wouldn't be surprised if the worst is yet to come. Now, normally I think we would be seeing the pace car lights go off here, but I wouldn't be surprised if they end up extending this caution a lap or two for the lap 17 tribute.
Yeah, as they cross the line, the lights on the pace car have been extinguished, as most of the cars, you see them there working their way around this 2.5 mile oval as we get set for the tribute. As GSRC does everything we can to fight against the stigma against mental health, and the sim racers for mental health. They put on races here all the time, and it's always been a great group of guys to call races for as they work their way here down the back straightaway out of turn number 2.
There's a lot of chatting going on over the radio. The lights are still off on the pace car here. By the way, you may have noticed we've been getting a few wave arounds under this caution. There are 26 trucks of the 31 starters still on the lead lap. I wouldn't be surprised if that number goes up a little bit.
Yeah, that's one of those things about these races where, you're not fighting for a points championship. You're not fighting for a cash prize so much, but just trying to get everybody as much as you can onto the lead lap and making sure that if something comes down to it on the last lap of the race, you just kind of want to make sure that everybody is able to get involved and have some fun as these guys work their way now down towards the trial. Pace car pulls off as we get set to go green flag racing once again here in Daytona.
Yep, so we are going to go back to racing on lap number 17 of a 60-lap race, and it's the 25 and 27, really the only two leaders we've had today running side by side as they go into turn 1, but the inside lane is already grouping up quite well. That's the number 54 of John Crow Sr. right on the tail, and oh boy, the outside line is going backward.
Yeah, this is one of those restarts where, well, the caution came out right away. Actually, this is an admin thrown caution. I didn't see any event that would have triggered it back behind, so this might just be one of the cautions that might be triggered by admins for the event.
Yeah, and I have a feeling, well, maybe they'll, the goal was to do it on lap number 17, but I have a feeling they all need to catch a pace car first, so they might be delaying it a little lap here. No, they wanted to go back racing, give the fans a little bit of action. We got to see them race through turns 1 and 2 and down the back straight, and right now it's still Gills leading the field in the number 25 machine, as he has done for most of this race. We have had our first official retirement from the event, by the way, so the truck field might be beginning to thin a little bit. This is our 4th caution of a race. The truck's still catching the pace car all the way down here on the back straight.
Yeah, and Samuel, I have to say, I spent some time, for the first time ever actually, here in Daytona a couple weeks ago for the Daytona, or the Rolex 24 at Daytona. It was such a fun track to spend some time at, mostly because of, you know, just the access that you had, where you could go. Of course, you won't have the access that you might have had at a NASCAR event, but, you know, just being able to roam about the garages at 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning, watch them do an emergency radiator swap on a Lamborghini is what I spent a bunch of time doing in the middle of the night. And it's just so much fun to watch how these guys went about it as we see some guys work their way down the pit lane here.
I think we're seeing everyone work their way down the pit lane here, Chad, and this is for the tribute that they tried to do at the end of lap number 17, but getting pushed back a lap here. And this is a tribute in remembrance of the 17 victims of a Parkland shooting several years ago. This is the Shine MSD Healing Through the Arts 150. And please see the description of the video or get in contact with the league for ways you can donate and help support their cause. All the trucks going to come to a stop for just a moment here, and we are going to take a quick moment of silence. And that link that you can go to is shinemsd.networkforgood.com. And there you can donate to help keep gun violence under control. And help healing for the families and loved ones of the victims through the arts. Again, this is a Shine MSD Healing Through the Arts 150 being held by the Sim Racers for Mental Health. We are working our 4th caution of this race, which was thrown manually, not for an incident, but so the drivers could stop on pit road and pay tribute to the 17 victims of the Parkland shooting. And now, though, the trucks are really having to accelerate and go quite fast around this racetrack, Chad, because they've got a lot of catching up to do with the pace car, which did not stop.
Yeah, the pace car here in iRacing does not have a manual control, so to say. And these guys, as you mentioned, doing everything they can to just catch back up, the field form backed up. And I think that the biggest thing for some of these guys is just trying to, especially at the tail end of the lead lap, and just trying to get themselves back and caught up to where they need to be. But the biggest thing for me is, you know, it just shows iRacing is so much more than just a video game. You know, whether it's this this race that is in remembrance of the Parkland shooting, or the races that they've had over the last couple of months. They continue to throw these events and getting racers together to put on shows for more than just, say, a couple of guys running around a track. These guys always love to put on races for everybody watching at home. We just can't wait to see where things stack up as we approach and just cross now 1/3 distance here, lap 20 of 60, as we delay the caution one more lap around, it seems. Lights still on there on the pace car.
Yeah, so they're really having to do a little bit of regrouping here. All for a good cause, of course. We appreciate them doing it, but at the same time, got a little bit of work to do to get everyone in order before we go back underway. Again, this was a fourth caution. This one was thrown manually, not for an incident. The first three, unfortunately, have been for incidents. All these drivers get one free repair. Some drivers trying to see how long they can go. Other drivers haven't been as lucky. The driver I mentioned, by the way, who had disconnected from the server, was Joshua Stewart, but it looks like he has rejoined. And it looks like it's still going to be a moment until we can go back racing. So we're going to take a quick break. We will be back for the restart.
iRacing is a sim racing game that combines a true-to-life racing experience with an online community of virtual racers from all around the globe. iRacing offers a multitude of officially licensed cars and tracks, laser scanned with millimeter accuracy. Their car models and mechanical systems are based on real-world physics, engineered in cooperation with manufacturers and race teams. Their skill license system ranges from rookie to pro, ensuring members are always pitted against those with similar skill sets. Members are able to sign up for a weekly race series, compete in time trials, host a private race with friends, and participate in racing leagues created and run by the community. With over 170,000 members, iRacing works in partnership with renowned motorsports organizations like NASCAR to deliver virtual races based on the real-life NASCAR Cup Series, as well as many other series on the NASCAR ladder. iRacing also features team racing, providing a variety of options for members to create and manage their own teams. Race with friends or real-world teammates in full-length endurance events like the 24 Hours of Daytona, Spa 24, or the Bathurst 12 Hour. Additional partners include IMSA, World of Outlaws, Supercars, and IndyCar, allowing members to race in their very own Indianapolis 500, Bathurst 1000, Chili Bowl, and many more iconic events. This is iRacing, delivering the most authentic racing experience short of getting into a real race car. Sign up today at iRacing.com.
We have one more lap of caution added to this as we work to get as many trucks as they can back on the lead lap after we had a moment of silence for the victims of the Parkland shooting from a few years back. And just trying to get everyone regrouped so we can go racing here. Unfortunately, Trad, we haven't seen a whole lot of green flag racing. We've had 4 cautions, 3 of which have been for incidents, and we're already a third race distance. So hopefully in the second half of this race here, we can start to see a bit more racing. And we'll still have to see, of course, how pit stops come into play here, because fuel will still be a concern if we do start to get more green flag racing, as another lap of caution has been added.
Yeah, it's just going to matter to see where these guys kind of settle themselves in. We just saw, as you mentioned, another lap of caution added. But overall, I think that the biggest thing for some of these guys, especially towards the middle of the field, is how can they work their way back up towards the front. The guys at the front of the field, whether that be Giles or Crow or Stevens, they all have clean trucks, and they know that they can just kind of sit in line, wait, and bide their time. But the further back that you go, it just kind of depends on what happens with your truck the next couple laps. I think most of these guys are just going to want to set themselves to the inside line and hope that things go their way. But we have seen once that outside line figures itself out, they do have a chance to make a run towards the front of the field.
Again, we got another lap of caution here. So let's talk about some of these drivers at the front of the field. Unfortunately, we haven't had a lot of green flag racing yet, so it's been difficult for us to say how everyone's racing each other. But one thing's for sure is that certainly have been some names who have been featuring a bit more up front than others. Cody Gills has led most of his race. Sean Stevens was our pole sitter. And John Crow Sr. will be starting up on the high side again. He started second. He's still in second. But after that, you have a lot of drivers who started toward the back.
Yeah, and that's one of those things. You'll see them work their way around, work their way up. And I don't know that we have a graphic. Yes, we do. There you see it. Kramer up 23 positions from the drop of the green flag. And that's a huge gain there for Barry Kramer in the 12 truck. And we've seen guys make significant gains as races go on. And I think that for half of them, it just depends on not so much, you know, how you run during the race, but how aggressive you're both at the start and at the end.
Unfortunately, it does look like we have got everyone in the order that they need to be now. 26 trucks still on the lead the lap. The last of them being the number 92 of Russell Peets. And still have a few drivers running a couple of laps down, probably hoping for a couple more cautions. Unfortunately, we are going to be, unfortunately for them, we're going to be hoping against a couple more cautions because we'd like to see some green flag racing here as we're approaching the halfway point. With Cody Gills the lead in the field in that number 25 red truck on the inside of the 54 of John Crow Sr. Sean Stevens, our pole sitter, is starting up there. Actually, he's in the number 27 truck.
Yeah, you see him there tucked on the high side, and these guys they're just kind of waiting at this point, trying to see where they can get themselves settled out. The pace car starts to get itself ready. It's going to pull itself to the inside here, but these guys want to see. You see the long line of trucks to the inside as we get set to get back going green here. Where do we see the trucks start to get aggressive, start to make moves? Because the last couple of times around, it's been, how can I get to the bottom? How can I get in line? How do things work out for these guys as they work their way down towards turn number 1?
Yeah, well, I think what happens there is every time you get a wave around, you're told to line up on the low side. So that's why we saw such a long train there on the inside. But things getting dicey up front. As you mentioned, though, a lot of trucks getting down low, only a couple of trucks up high, trying to find a way in.
And I would much rather see myself just kind of settled in on the inside and just kind of hold line for the time being, hold serve and see what happens, because there's a lot of racing still to go. Of course, there you see him kind of weaving down through the tri-oval a little bit, but I think overall the top 6 or 7 all is tucked nose to tail in the inside line, and you're going to have to see them just kind of play things patiently here as they come across the line, 35 to go.
Anthony Treepy is a driver that just can't seem to find a hole down on the low side. The number 45 restarted up towards the front. He started 27th, but he's fading back almost outside the top 10 now. Might be getting a couple of friends come up high, though. Saw a little bit of, no, everyone in the back half of the field here is running on the low line. He's all alone up there. Up front, it's Cody Gills leading the field, seeing the truck still get a little bit out of shape as they come out on turn 4.
And Kenny James thought about peeking to the outside, trying to lead a lap there, but instead he just stays in line, does not want to get shuffled to the back. And you see him there in what's labeled the 15 truck, that red and black machine. just kind of staying to the inside line. He stays right there with his left side tires on the yellow line. He's got some help behind from Barry Kramer, but all of the top 7 or so all line astern, holding to the inside line. They dive down towards turn number 3.
Yeah, this is an 18-truck pack that has broken away from the rest of the field. We had some drivers towards the backside of the field that didn't get away well on the restart, and as a result, they've kind of lost the lead draft here. 25 trucks on the lead lap, 18 of them in your camera right here, covered by just a couple of seconds as they come across the line to complete lap number 27. Anthony Trippi, fastest lap of the race, and the high line has gone on by the leaders, and now there's a new leader, and it's William Kruska. So the high side was able to group up together, and Kruska gets hit from behind by Gills, who lets him come back in. But now the high side is really the place to be, because it looks like it's too crowded there down low.
Yeah, the biggest thing for these guys is just trying to make sure you can stay in line. And you saw there for the longest time it was the inside formed up, ready to go, and then the outside somehow got a run out of nowhere. Almost 3 wide, but can we see that stick around? No, we will see the 15 kind of just stuck in line here as these guys work their way back towards the start finish line. Looks like Tony Brent does have he says too much damage to continue on. The Tony Brent there in the 28 will not continue tonight's event. He is 7 laps down. As there we see a truck drive to the outside, and we're still 2 by 2 as they get ready to work their way. Almost contact. They're back behind, and they're all wrecking back behind.
No caution yet, but I'm sure it will fly. That's Chris Weaver in the number 30 who's gone tumbling. And no, it looks like they're going to stay green. So that all started at the very front when Thomas Friesch kind of... he's the leader, by the way. Thomas Friesch in at number 18, or he was the leader. He's just lost the lead back to 25 there. Thomas really closed the door on the high line, and it kind of caused everyone to get checked up, and that led to a chain reaction that ultimately saw the 30 car flipping down in the infield on the back straight.
Yeah, what was an 18-car pack is now down to 9 cars. We got 3 on the outside and 6 on the inside. And these guys starting to be a little bit more dicey than we've seen so far. As the 15 slices his way up to the high side. He almost got a bump there from the 18. But these guys still 2 by 2, and they're going to form back up once again, working their way off turn number 3.
Yeah, they're all getting very tight here. There's only 9 trucks in this lead pack, but it's still racing very aggressive. Even though we're only at the halfway point, Kenny Zeems is the driver in that number 31 on the high side, who led at the stripe last time by. That dark red number 16 truck is on the inside. So that is, I've been calling it the number 25 truck. That's because it's how it's showing up in time in the scoring. But it's got, oh, here we go. We're going to go 3 wide. This isn't going to work out. Oh, there we go. Back up a racetrack goes the number 12. Takes out the 15. And I think this will bring out a yellow. Oh, and a hard smack there.
And I think, some of these guys up that were at the front of the field, they will have their what's called the fast repair remaining, so they will have a clean truck once they get back going once again. That's part of the strategy here in iRacing. And I wonder, now that we are under caution once again, I don't know that we'll be able to. We'll give it a lap here. We'll try to get everything settled back out, but I think for the most part, we'll be able to get the replay going. See what caused the first accident. Yes. So this is what caused the first incident we talked about under caution. You see, drivers get kind of strewn about. It was the 88 there. The 30 gets spun around, and then up on his roof several times. And the Fox 8 machine.
I count 4 times.
At least 4 times. Yeah, getting sent back. But there you see them now, 2 by 2. All the way back. This is going to be what brought out the caution. They tried to go 4 wide, and unfortunately that sent the 12 car all the way to the inside wall. Man, there were just drivers all over the racetrack the last 2 or 3 laps.
Yeah, that was just bump drafting. And I didn't quite understand this one. Not that I tend to be a bit of a safer super speedway racer, so I never understand half these wrecks anyway. But that wreck, there were only 9 trucks left in the lead pack. I don't get why they had to be that aggressive. If you're in last place in that pack, you're still in 9th.
If you ask me, you keep your foot on the gas, you go, 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 go. As there we see the view from high above, it looks like maybe just one of the drivers tried to keep themselves too far in it. But the biggest thing for me is most of those drivers, I think, still had their fast repair. Yes, we're only to halfway, but I think most of them still had their fast repairs. They were ready to go the distance if something did happen. So, under caution here at Daytona, 28 to go, just across halfway. Drivers, do see them, they're working their way off of pit road. Just a matter of time before we get back to green flag racing here for the Sim Racers for Mental Health on the Global SimRacing Channel.
Jonko Sr. has been one of our top drivers all race long, but it looked like he could not find his pit stall. So he's going to have to come back in. But he's got damage anyway, but he would have quickly been able to fix that with a free repair.
It looks like we've had some more drivers retire from tonight's event. And it looks like Matthew Gisti has retired in 29, as well as we mentioned him before, Tony Brent, and the 28 retired as well. A couple of drivers 1 or 2 laps down as they work their way here under caution. The lights on the pace car continue to be illuminated as these guys continue. There's now 27 laps remaining here at Daytona International Speedway.
You know, I think Aharon Riolo is going to win this race. He's a number 14 truck all the way beat up on the infield there. I swear, every time we've cut to him, every time we've cut to the pace car, he's been like one right behind the pace car trying to get a lap back. And I think he's just trying to make a best of a bad situation where he's been carrying that damage pretty much all race. I wonder if everyone else wrecks out, he'll be the one truck left running at the end of it. We'll see.
Now, Samuel, I'll admit I've watched way too much curling this Winter Olympics, so I can't say that I'm a curling expert, but I know way too much about what's going on. I think that some of these guys, maybe towards the middle of the pack, realize, yes, you know, we have a couple of ends left to go. We're going to have some more restarts. We're going to have some more pack racing going on. But at the same time, they know once the end comes, they have to be in the position where they can take advantage. So some of these cars towards the middle, whether that's Giles or Trippy or Weaver, they're going to have to be able to take advantage towards the back end of the top 10.
And what does that have to do with curling? Is that how curling works?
Yeah, curling, you know, if you have the hammer, which is what's the last end or last stone thrown in the end or the round is, you know, you want to put yourself in a defensive position, but you're able to take advantage if you need to. If you're some of these guys that still are not towards the front of the pack, but still have your fast repair, you're able to take advantage as you get set to go. The pace car pulls away, and we're back to green flag racing once again, as Kruska just dives to the inside, and he is clear. Can he protect his first position as they work their way towards turn number 1, as we are still 2 by 2 diving their way into turn 1. Kramer tries to protect the outside.
Well, a lot of these were drivers who got a piece of the last wreck when they were running up front, so I would have thought they'd be driving a little bit more careful here, but no, they're all right bumper to bumper. Once again, 25 laps to go, giving each other bumps down the back straight. You can hit each other square, but as soon as you start to do it at an angle, that's when the cautions happen, and we've already seen several of those.
And there you see them work their way off of turn number 4.
Oh, 3 wide.
Inside line is very formed up, getting left hung out to dry there.
And
Here's
that's
the 13
Gilles.
of Hayden Wheeler, and that's going to bring out a caution once again, and they're piling well up behind. That is a huge gaggle of cars.
Gilles tried to make it 3 wide going through the tri-oval, and I don't know who's to blame for it, but there were some drivers who were saying, no, we're not going 3 wide. So this is the number 25, who actually has the number, well, sorry, we're looking at the number 7 here. That's Chris Brown.
Here's to look at the replay once again. These guys, you don't mention them getting 3 wide. There you see it, they're 3 wide, and most of the front of the pack got through that cleanly, but the front 3 actually are the only ones that got away clean. Everybody else just piled in behind. I was surprised to see that.
Yeah, so what happened there was the number 12 was trying to come down and join in that middle lane, and I think Cody was trying to make a hole for him, but he just couldn't. He ended up getting rear-ended, and there was some trucks. Who's that? The 87 going airborne in the middle there. That's the white and black truck bouncing around, the number 87 being driven by...
And that's an immediate retirement there from the 77 of Cody Giles. He just immediately said, you know what, I'm not going to race this anymore, whether he had his fast repair or not. You see him there, that black and red car in the middle, turned straight to the left, and unfortunately got spun around. I think he did still have his fast repair, but he got a couple of the cars that drove straight into him, so he decided to park his car for the evening. As looks like Caleb Boatwright did get a wave around. So multiple cars involved in that one, and I say multiple, I mean way too many. As we still have about 20 cars or so on the lead lap. The issue does come to be who has damage and who still has their fast repair.
Yeah, it was Davey Weaver was the 87, and we're going to get an onboard here to show you just how quickly this track got clocked up, because you saw from the last, there's Davey Weaver in that 87 truck, that was the one that was flipping. You saw from that camera view, you also see from this camera view, that it wasn't just the racetrack that got clogged up, that entire infield was pretty much clogged up too.
Yeah, that's one of those things that surprise. Like, from riding with that inboard, there's just nowhere to go. You think, okay, I'll dive to the inside. There's plenty of room here. Once you get down, committed to a certain lane down to the inside of the racetrack, there's nowhere to go. You have to try to find a way back to the outside, and there's nowhere to commit there because there's a car on your right as well. So fortunately, though, there were most of those cars able to find some sort of way through where they can not completely demolish their car, but your front 3 there of Kramer, Kruska, and Wheeler, the only 3 that got through that one without significant damage. As I think we might see some of these guys take their fast repair.
Well, Kruska's being given a knee well. Oh, and he's the one who gave it to himself. I'm not sure what that was about. But meanwhile, I just wanted to give a shout out to what you saw on camera right there. Aharon Riolo was the one who got the wave around. So number 14 is now on the lead lap.
And that's going to bring us back up to 15 cars
he's gonna win.
On the lead lap. And he's going to work his way down pit road, take some tires, take some repairs. But I think a lot of these guys, just every time that the caution comes out, they're thankful for it. Just trying to make sure they can get any bit of repairs that they can. We're still not the 2/3 distance yet, as we get some drivers asking for their wave around as they work their way through the tri-oval here. I think Evan Lambert as well as Russell Peets are the drivers hoping to get their wave around here. Just depends on what race control decides to do.
Well, the leaders are getting double file, so it's Barry Kramer leading in that number 12 truck.
And Barry Kramer, by the way, started the 28th position. What a run that Barry has had. Whether it's him, whether it's Hayden Wheeler, he's 17th up to 2nd, or Russell Peets from 30th up to 5th. We've got plenty of drivers that have made significant moves through the field so far tonight, as we are at 22 now to go. Just a lot of drivers very patient getting set and just kind of waiting to make their move.
Well, it doesn't look like we're going to get this caution extended, which is good news for us on the broadcast side of things. It means we're about to go back to racing with 21 laps left to go. Barry Kramer in the 12 on pole on the inside. Hayden Wheeler in the 13 up high. The number 7 on the low side is Chris Brown. And then that number 54 is John Crow Sr., who I think his truck was a bit beat up earlier, so he's definitely taken his free repair at some point.
Now, if we're Hayden Wheeler on the outside, do we get free pizza for promoting Pizza Hut on the stream? No, overall, these guys getting set to go double file. It looks like the top about 15 or so cars still line astern as the pace car pulls away back to green flag racing as Barry Kramer gets a great jump and hoping that instead of trying to fight it, Hayden Wheeler tucks to the inside. He does not, but the front 3 or so are all trying to do everything they can to just tuck in line. 12 of Kramer stays to the inside as they work their way now down through turn number 2. They're 2 by 2.
Yes, Barry was trying to check the high line up, but it hasn't really worked. The high line has the momentum and the low line is going nowhere right now. So the 13 is your leader down the back straight. The 54 trying to think about making it 3 wide. Boy, we are seeing aggressive moves, aggressive lane changes here as we get closer towards the end of the race. Drivers trying to see what they can get away with. The problem is there might not be a whole lot of them with trucks left to play these games in the closing laps. Going to the high side now, that is Chris Brown in the number 7 truck. He's going up into second place as the number 12 tries to get side draft, and they might go 3 wide again. The number 13 was thinking about it. Right now, the 54 of John Crow Sr. leads as they go through turns 1 and 2.
2 by 2 by 2 they come, and everybody trying to find any advantage that they possibly can. Almost down to the inside, there was Kramer, but he's going to jump all the way back to the end of the straight. He says, I do not like that. So he's going to just play things patiently, and I think that might be a smart move there from Kramer, just because of how the race has played out so far. You see some damage there to the right rear of Chris Brown that's out front now. But Kramer just doing everything he can to settle back in line. He's in the about 10th position right now. He's just going to try to play things patiently and hope that a caution comes out in front of him. Because if it comes, just the way that this race has gone, I wouldn't be like, if I was a betting man, it would definitely come out in front of me there if you're there at the back end of the top 10.
The number 7 and number 54, I don't think are working too well together. They're really swerving about the ways, and I know they're leading the field on the inside here, but they're just weaving around so much. I'm not comfortable. I'll tell you what about the 12 truck dropping back of Barry Kramer. He really isn't in a safe position. If there's a wreck at the front of the field, he's still going to be right in it. I wonder if he just dropped back there to see how quickly he could work his way up front.
And that's another one of those moves that wouldn't surprise me. You know, we've got 19, now 18 laps to go. I wouldn't be completely surprised if he decides, all right, now I know what's going to happen around me. I'm going to work my way back up to the front. He's got the opportunity to do it. We've seen how much speed that he has, but you see how much some of these guys are working in front of him, how much track that they are using. If he wants to make a move, he has to do it now. Chris Brown out in front worked his way from 9th to 1st. Hayden Wheeler there in the 13th on the outside lane, that Pizza Hut machine from 17th now up to 2nd. These guys 2 by 2, and they've made plenty of runs so far this race. We'll have to wait and see how things play out as we're under 20 laps to go.
And coming to 17 to go as they cross the line. Hayden Wheeler going to lead at the stripe in that number 13 Silverado. There are 13 trucks left on the lead lap now that we've gotten everything sorted out after our last caution. 11 of them are part of this lead pack. We have Ken Zima's, actually something might be going on with the drivers back in 12th and 13th, but they're not part of this lead pack. as things continue to remain 2 by 2. And of course, as Wheeler gets a little bit out of line up there up front on the high side, but these drivers have to weave around like this a little bit because they've got to keep the air coming into their grills if they're the third or fourth trucks back in line. And so that's why they're never going to be stationary behind the trucks in front of them. And we got 2 trucks into each other at the back of a pack, and one of them spinning down into pit road will stay green.
Yeah, that's one of the beneficiaries. Some of these front sort of lead lap guys is just kind of being able to keep your position as the green flag stays out. Top about 8 to 10 cars or so still maintaining their pace here. But there you see them kind of poking out through the back of the camera shot as these guys continue to work their way under green, now working their way towards turn 3 and towards 15 laps to go.
So that was Chris Goff who got out of shape there and went down pit road. He was actually running the lap down, but as you mentioned there, Chad, what that has done is broken our lead pack up into 2 different groups. And now we've just got about 9 trucks left as part of this lead pack, with number 12, that bright baby blue truck at the back there of Barry Kramer, who dropped to the back a little whiles ago. He's running in 8th. And I think the trucks in 9th and 10th might be able to run these guys down still. Those are, well, I take that back, actually, because leading that tandem in 9th and 10th is the Harron Violo with all that damage on the 14 truck.
Yeah, you still see these guys getting a run on the inside there as they work 2 by 2 into turn number 3. These guys are playing things patiently, and you see it here. You'll see the big shot that inside line got. I think they'll be able to just block their way to victory if that's what ends up happening. There you see the 54 of John Kraus Sr. Jumping to the outside. He might want to lead some of this race as these guys work their way back to turn 1. There's a lap car on the inside. That's the 89. That is Ken Zames as these guys work their way back 3 wide, and they start to scramble back behind.
Yeah, Ken didn't make it too easy on them. Eventually was able to get on the apron down the back straight. He was holding his line down low, but still the trucks caught him at a bit of a bad spot there, but they all got through. So we still see 2 different lines going on. 10 trucks, well, 9 lead lap trucks in this lead pack, and leading them at the stripe is going to be that number 13 once again. Or maybe not, let's see. They're almost identical over the line there. Yep, sure enough, a 13 had the lead by 0.02 of a second over John Crow Sr., the 54 on the low side.
Yeah, that's one of those things is where you catch those lead lap cars, because they did not catch, or they did not cause too much of an issue directly in terms of timing and scoring. They also really checked up the line, but the biggest thing for those guys is when they caught Ken Zames there, that lap car we saw just a lap ago, it kind of just scrambled everybody. They kind of just put them back on their toes once again, realizing, hey, it's not just settle in line and hope things work out your way. It just turns into,
there we go.
There you see cars turned around, a car backwards, and multiple locking up their brakes as well. The caution is out once again. And I don't know that this is going to cause too much issue for these guys in front. Just about everybody in this lead pack, I think, still has their fast repair, but some of these cars are still going to have their opportunity to get their way back up to the front here as we come across. I think we're going to have about 8 laps to go, maybe 9, when we go back to green flag racing.
That was Scott Rickard in the number 05 who got turned on the exit of turn 4 there and absolutely had to lock it down. And it was a miracle, really, that there wasn't really a wreck, to be honest. I don't think I've ever seen something like this at Daytona, where you have 2 trucks get sideways like that and no crash. It reminds me of Peter Pan, where Mr. Smee and all the pirates are telling Captain Hook, "No splash, Captain. There's no splash." It's kind of the same thing here. There's no crash. Where's the crash?
Yeah, and that's one of those things. You see these guys kind of start bobbing and weaving up in front as we ride on board here. You're not sure where to go. You see the car up in front of you. Try to just lock it down, slow yourself down. And plenty. That's some fantastic driving there as we ride on board. That's some fantastic bit of driving as we get things back going under caution. As about half the lead pack starts to work their way under down towards pit road.
And this makes sense to me. There's only 12 trucks on the lead pack, a lot of on the lead lap. A lot of them are damaged. So, you know, if worst you're going to restart as 12th, come in, get some repairs, top it off with fuel in case we get a few green-white checkers, and give it some fresh tires and get ready for the shootout.
Yeah, absolutely. So you see the 27 still sitting on pit road. And the way that his race has gone is unfortunate to see, because that's Sean Stevens. He started on the pole, had plenty of great running, and unfortunately with that incident, it's going to drop further back down in the field. Multiple drivers there, looks like, took fast repairs as well. The only question is how long will this caution be extended, as it looks like we are still going to have at least one more lap. So we're going to have at least 10 laps to go under green flag racing. Just waiting to see when the caution lights get extinguished here on the iRacing safety car.
Aaron Riolo in the number 14 ended up taking his free repair, and that disappoints me. I was getting used to looking at that truck with all the damage on it. I thought he might be able to pull it off.
I mean,
well, it looks...
If it means anything, the 13 that Hayden Wheeler machine, that Pizza Hut car, I mean, it's still making me a little bit hungry, but he still hasn't taken his fast repair as far as I know. Still making me want a nice, cheesy, extra large as we get set to go back green.
I would watch a race of pizza delivery trucks if the prize, the trophy, was a pizza.
I can't say I disagree. I've definitely watched a race where it was a FedEx truck versus the United States Postal Service, but there was definitely some local delivery pizza services on the trucks as well. Now, I have to ask you, Samuel, what is your favorite pizza delivery service?
Normally, honestly, I go and pick it up. But I mean, I've always kind of liked Domino's, to be honest. But there's no bad pizza. But anyway, we'll probably upset some sponsors if I get too into detail here.
You know what? Most of the pizza I've had lately has been delivered to my office, and I can't say I ever disagree with free pizza. So we'll continue on under that route as the lights on the iRacing safety car have been extinguished as we work our way back down the back straightaway here at Daytona.
Well, let's make one note about this 13 Pizza Hut truck here that matters to this race, and that's that he has opted to restart up high here, which is something we haven't seen at all tonight. We've seen pretty much every leader at the restart elect to start on the low side, but the high side has been working for Hayden Wheeler, so he's going to go up here and try and get a push from behind and see how well this high line groups. There's a few more trucks catch from behind. Look how much smaller the field is now.
I think the thing for Hayden Wheeler is he's going to try to get a great jump. He's going to jump as low as he can. He does not. I am surprised by that. I thought he'd just try to get a big jump and try to break the high side up. But instead, he's just going to keep things 2 by 2. These guys working their way down towards turn number 1. It's the 13 and the 54 working their way down there. As you see, the front 2 actually on the inside get themselves clear, make that 3. It's almost going to be the front 4 on the inside line. Still sucking themselves in line. Can anybody on that high side find a way to make a run? We've seen them get some sort of run, but it takes a couple of laps for that high side to develop. And the biggest thing is who's going to be the one that's up there up front on the inside right now. Who's going to be the one to make themselves commit? As you see the 13 commit back down to the inside. The front 4 now, that is going to be, that is sorry, that's the front four. They're committing to the inside. That is Crow, Riolo, Bowser, and Kramer. Riolo in the 14. That's one of those cars that surprised me, one of those trucks, because he was one of the last cars on the lead lap. He was actually gotten his lap back under the cautions not too long ago.
Yeah, but here comes the high side. They're coming with a full head of steam, so I think what happened on the restart there is number 86, Drew Bernardi, who restarted right behind the 13. He got such a bad restart that the 13 couldn't do anything. The high line couldn't do anything, but now they're coming in full strength, and we're getting some proper racing here. This is much cleaner, much more professional style super speedway racing now that the cream has risen to the top, and as I say that, they almost go 3 wide and wreck each other coming out of a tri-oval. Work. Oh, here we go. Big trouble. It's the 13. 13, who's been so dominant today, has gotten sideways, and one truck flipping upside down the back straight, and the caution comes out with 7 laps to go.
Yeah, the caution does come out, and the 13, I believe still has his. I believe he still has his fast repair. We'll have to see if he does or not. But some of these guys up front, they were just so very aggressive as this race is going on. Have to wait and see how things play out as these guys continue to work their way around. I don't think we'll see much more than a green-white checkered as we get to set. And there you see on the replay. Yeah, the 14 just got tagged around by the 12. So unfortunately for Kramer, kind of was part of that one, but have to wait and see how things play out for these guys.
And that's Ken Zeems in the 89 who goes for a wild ride here and hasn't been able to drive it away from the scene of the incident yet. He's kind of just been doing donuts back there, so I think he's gave up. But man, the 13 truck had been so dominant today, and he does a good job of keeping it straight for as long as he possibly could, but eventually goes around. But I think at this rate, if you've still got a truck that can run on the lead lap, you still might have a chance of winning this thing.
I was going to say, that's one of those things. We've seen it time and time again here on iRacing, and, well, not even on iRacing, just either sim racing, video game racing, no matter whatever the race it is. We've seen guys come from 20th, 30th, 40th back to say, hey, I'm on the lead lap. I can work my way through and somehow pull off a miracle to get through without incidents. So we see a couple of guys here elected to come down pit road and take their repairs, and one of those being Hayden Wheeler. So Wheeler's going to take his and hope that he is clear to go to the end. You see all the scuff marks there on the right side of that truck. The right rear of that back end is bent in quite considerably, but nope, whoop, it's all cleared up once again. He does not elect to take tires though. No tires, no fuel, no tear off. He just gets the repairs done to his truck, and he is good to go here to the end. As we get set to go racing once again, the caution light's still on here. 5 is going to be 4 laps to go at the line. Here at Daytona.
Do you get a new set of tires with a free repair though?
You do not actually.
Oh, okay. For some reason I thought you did. Yeah, it doesn't make sense. So get unlimited tires. I would have stayed in the pits an extra few seconds there and got 4 new tires. But we'll see. Maybe he likes them being a little bit scuffed. All right, I have a feeling the lights are going to go off on the pace car this time by. If they do, we will have a 3-lap shootout at the end of the race. The race leader is the number 27, Sean Stevens. He was also your pole sitter. He hasn't been leading this race all the way along, but he's been up there quite a bit. And now he is leading the field, 11 of which on the lead lap, although that number could change based on how the wave arounds work under this caution. John Crow Sr. will be restarting second, it looks like, in that number 54 machine. And there's a driver in third we haven't mentioned a lot today, Alex Bowser in the number 36. He started 13th and running third as we enter the closing laps. And hopefully the lights are about to go off and we'll get double file.
Yeah, Stevens and Crow, they started 1 and 2. They're running 1 and 2. And you just mentioned Bowser up from 13th to 3rd. Some of these guys, though, that qualified very well. Whether that's Breslin from 20, or he's qualified 3rd, now running 26. And a bunch of these guys in the top 10 have dropped way back through the field. But as long as you're there in the top 12 all the way through Scott Rickard and Chris Go, the currently guys running 11th and 12th, those guys, the back end of the lead lap, a lot of them really have a great opportunity here to win tonight's race as we work our way now. Pace car lights are off, working our way back down the back straight. I would assume this is going to be one of the final restarts. It just depends on how aggressive these guys are. I wouldn't expect much more than maybe a single green-white checkered.
No, I think you're being a bit optimistic there, but we'll wait and see. Because I was going to say, you know, 3 laps to go. This is where the aggression normally picks up, but I think it's already been quite aggressive as it is. We will see how this all unfolds.
Yeah, I will agree with you. You know, just we've seen some aggression, we've seen some passiveness. I think at this point, just about everybody's used up their fast repair. The pace car, you see it there, getting set to pull away once again. But 3 laps to go here in regulation. As the pace car pulls to the inside, the revs rise, and we are set to go green once again here at Daytona with the Sim Racers for Mental Health, as 27 of Sean Stevens just pulls to the inside and hopes to take that line with him.
Yeah, things getting a little bit messy towards the back of the pack there, but quite clean up front with Sean Stevens leading the inside line and still seeing the trucks jostle for position. That's number 13 going all the way up high. You see him trying to make it 3 wide there. Hayden Wheeler really trying to work his way back up to the front. He has taken no prisoners. He is powering by them all on the high side.
Yeah, he really wants that pizza. As we saw, we just talked about him taking this fast repair, getting shoved on the back of the lead lap cars. But now he's trying to work his way back up to the front. As he now gets shoved back once again, that Pizza Hut machine trying to find his way back up, trying to get the outside line formed up once again. As the caution...
no caution.
No caution yet. No. So these guys continue to work their way around. Now lap and a half or so to go. Working their way now down towards the back straight, working their way off turn number 2.
Yeah, Hayden Wheeler's trying to win this race on his own, and that's very difficult to do at Daytona. It's normally easy to work with other people until the very end. Well, Sean Stevens almost goes up to the high line now. I don't know why he'd want to do that. As we get a spin there. Don't go around. They're going to go around. This is going to bring out the yellow.
Yeah, that does bring out the yellow, and some of the guys we were just talking about, the top 7 or 8 or so all got through that one clean. But man, that was a close one for some of those guys further back in the field.
Yeah, and both those trucks get going again, but so no one out of this race, but it does mean...
Here's a look at the replay. They were 3 wide there. The 7 just holding the bottom, and unfortunately it hooks the blue and yellow car. I can't get a number on that right away, but he got spun around, did a perfect 360, and continued on. But that's just an unfortunate way to bring out the caution. As these guys continue to work their way back, I think we'll have a green-white checkered here for Sim Racer for Mental Health. Yeah, it's the 36 car. That 36 driven by Alex Bowser that we just talked about not long ago. Restarted up towards the front of the pack. Dropped like a rock pretty quick. So he's going to at least restart in the 10th, if not worse position. So just depends on where he restarts here.
Yeah, got quite a bit of damage to the truck, which probably isn't helping his speed. I think we're going to get a couple more laps of caution here. So it's still Sean Stevens. We're told there is a limit to 3 green-white checkers. This will be the first of them. The pace car coming across the line. And the lights stay on for another lap. For the record,
This is one of those things, Samuel, where you'll see guys continue, you'll see them continue to work their way around. You expect it to be one pit stop for them, but I don't know when they stopped around lap 20 whether they were expecting this many green-white checkers to possibly happen.
Now, that's something I have wrote down in my notes for this circuit and for Talladega, and probably also for the iRacing Super Speedway as well, is always make sure you have fuel in your vehicle for the end of these races, because you never know how many of these you're going to get.
Yeah, if you're one of the guys towards the back of the lead lap, whether that's Zames, Brown, Bowser, etc., etc., these guys towards the back of the lead lap, you have to expect that they would at least try to do something crazy on fuel to get their way back out to the front. But some of them, who knows what's going to happen.
So again, Sean Stevens is leading the field, and it looks like what this series is doing is they're opting the drivers to, they're giving them the option as to how they restart, pretty much giving them a cone rule, because I noticed under the last restart, it looked like both of our top two drivers elected to start on the same side. So let's see what happens here, if I'm hallucinating or if that's really what's going on, because the 27 of Sean Stevens leads the 54 of Jonko Senior, then the number 14 of Aaron Riolo. And Drew Bernardi, who we haven't mentioned a whole lot, he's in that baby blue truck back there in 4th place. The lights are off. No, okay. Nope.
And I think even if they did have, whether you want to call it the cone rule or the choose cone or whatever you want to call it, if they had that rule, the biggest thing, even if you were to say everybody says stay single file, is who's going to be the first one. We've seen it multiple times, is once like the outside line takes a lap or two to get formed up, but once it's formed up, it has a heck of a run compared to anybody that might be on the outside, no matter how well they're formed up, as they work their way now under caution down the back straightaway.
And one thing I've just realized, everyone who is not on the lead lap has elected to come into the pits. This isn't a championship race. They're not racing for points. They're racing for the win. And the only 13 trucks left on the track, and they're all there in one camera shot. They're all nose to tail, some looking a bit prettier than others. These are our 13 drivers left on the lead lap, and our winner will be one of these 13 trucks.
I can't say anything better than that is fantastic sportsmanship from these drivers. As I don't have a shot at the win, so I'm just gonna pull off and pray for the best. But overall, the pace car getting set to pull into the pits once again. This is our first of 3 green-white checkered attempts as Sean Stevens gets set to lead us back down. There goes the pace car. Waiting, and the green flag back out once again, and Stevens gets a fantastic jump, but he's going to hope to get pushed by the 14 of Riolo. What's going to happen here? The 3 wide, almost 4, make it continue to be 3. There's a huge check up there in the outside line, and if you're one of those drivers on the outside line, you have to just pray that things get formed up behind you. You have to keep your foot in the accelerator.
Oh, and we got 2 trucks bouncing off the wall on the high side, but they're down on the apron. Are we going to stay green? Oh, big smack between them, and the yellow comes out. Second green-white checker coming up.
They continue to stay green. A lot of cars, unfortunately, seem to be involved in that one. As there, you see Sean Stevens almost on his own, as the cars tend to file in behind him.
Yeah, it's Russell Peets was in that dark blue truck that really went for a ride, number 92. Here's a replay of it, Chad.
Yeah, it just looked like drivers maybe trying to get too aggressive, making their moves a little too late. And wow, that was a huge hit to the right side there of the 05. But Here's one more look at it.
Scott Rickard of the 05, a 92 here, Russell Peets.
Yeah, I think Rickard just tried to take the natural line exiting the corner, not realizing that Peets was there, and just slid up a little too far. And once they got connected, there was just no way for either of them to correct.
So this is where it's all calm. The wreck is over. I can get back in the race? Nope.
And the question is, how much was that damage? It was not to the tires. It was not to the drivetrain of that car. It was just to the door. So for the 05, you might have a shot of getting back in this one. It just depends on what happens to your race car. As there you see about the top 10 working their way back now towards the tri-oval.
Pace car across the line. Pace car has also used its free repair. Looks like we're going to have another lap of caution here. We're closing in on the start of our second green and white checkered out of 3. And we don't need to worry about time. There's plenty of time left on the clock.
And for those curious, those fantastic GSRC fans sitting out there, it looks like the other race that we've got going on at the Daytona International Speedway right now in the trucks. They are continuing to go with their first green and white checkered as well, with Justin Prince and Reese Gardner on the call of that one. So fantastic racing all around here on GSRC tonight, whether it's this race or a couple more races going on this weekend. We've got you covered all weekend long here on GSRC, as we do just about every week of the year. Can't wait to see where this week of racing takes us.
Yeah, well, it's probably going to take us to Daytona. It's the time of the year everyone loves to race at the circuit. As a matter of fact, these drivers will be back in action with this league again this time next week, racing the Cup cars here at Daytona. It's always a nice time of year, this late February, as the well, I'm down in Florida, but you know, for the rest of the country, it's kind of like, oh yay, the weather's starting to get warmer. Here in Florida, the weather's always kind of warm, but you know what? It still gets warmer after February.
Yeah, it must be nice. You know, I'm up here in the Midwest, and it hit 35 degrees Fahrenheit today, and it was fantastic. So lucky you down there in Florida, Samuel, because you just have it easy.
I would say no, I don't, but yes, I do. Weather-wise. I'll tell you one thing though. I have to drive east in the morning to get to work, and west at night. And because it's so flat here in Florida, you know that there's no hills or anything breaking your way from the sunset or the sunrise. So you get that going in your eyes every time I'm commuting.
I think that's a problem just about everywhere. As I'm here in Indiana and I drive east in the morning to work, but cars continue to work their way here now down off of turn number 2 onto the back straightaway behind the safety car. Still 2 by 2 with now what seems to be 11 cars on the lead lap. Just one car that unfortunately was taken out in that instance. Just have to wait and see what happens here for these guys as we take our second attempt at a green-white checkered.
Yep, so coming to work our way through turns 3 and 4, following the pace car at 80 miles an hour. Kind of glad at this rate, the way this race has gone, that the pace car has been sped up. But Sean Stevens will again lead them back to green in number 27. The number 14 has been carrying damage on it pretty much all race long, but now he's got a nice clean new truck here for the final shootout. And the number 16, we're told, is the only one left with a free repair. Think it might be a bit too late for that, but we'll see. Sean Stevens back on the loud pedal. 2 laps left to go, maybe, hopefully. This is our second attempt of 3 at a green-white checkered. Stevens goes up high.
And immediately jumping down to the inside was John Crow Sr. Trying to get himself in line. He's unfortunately going to be shuffled back to the 4th, if not 5th position. As you see there, your front 4 down to the inside. Make it 5 now. Line the stern down to the back straightaway.
10 trucks left, and Sean Stevens was leading them at the very start. He's leading them towards the very end, but right now they're all a little bit spread apart. I don't think anyone's going to get a good enough run to really challenge him. They're getting through turns 3 and 4 okay. Can we make it to the white flag? Is this race coming to an end? It looks like we're going to make it. So Sean Stevens and Aaron Riolo are first and second as they take a white flag.
We talked about how the outside line takes a couple laps to get settled in. As there you see some of these guys trying very hard to get themselves with a run on the outside. The 16 there of William Kruska. We mentioned he still has his faster pair, but he's not going to need it. Is he going to need it down the back straightaway? There you see a couple cars around. The 16 no down to the outside. It's going to be a 2-car race back as they work their way back to turn number 3 for the final time.
The whole field is wrecked with the exception of Sean Stevens and Aaron Riolo. Riolo is going to wait until they exit turn 4. Then he's going to make his move. How hard is Stevens going to block? What way is he going to block? Riolo is still yet to make his move. They're almost at the tri-oval now. He's side by side, but it's too late. Sean Stevens has won here at Daytona.
Sean Stevens wins by less than a 1/10 of a second. And I think for some of these guys, they just didn't have anywhere to go. But man, what a fantastic battle that we had all the way back to the line from between Stevens and Riolo. Chris Brown ends up taking the 3rd position there, about 2 seconds behind.
And everyone else is more than 10 seconds back in very beat-up trucks. Well, we'll give you a full race rundown as well as drive interviews coming up in just a few moments here on the GSRC. Don't go away.
This is iRacing, the world's premier online racing game. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat to experience today's newest form of competitive motorsport, virtual racing, all from your home PC. Race virtually in endorsed series from NASCAR, IndyCar, IMSA, the World of Outlaws, Aussie Supercars and more. Take on legendary circuits like Daytona, Silverstone and the Nürburgring. Join iRacing's global online racing community and get on track today at iRacing.com.
Hello and welcome back to the Daytona International Speedway, where Sean Stevens has just won this more than 60 lap race here at the 2.5 mile super speedway as they're wrecking during celebrations for the Shine MSD Healing Through the Arts 150 presented by the Sim Racers for Mental Health. And there you see our finish in order. Sean Stevens taking it by less than a 1/10 of a second over Aaron Riolo, who did most of the race in the beat-up truck. Chris Brown was able to get around the wreck on the final lap, but he could only finish 3rd. And then pretty much everyone else you see on screen there was on the lead lap, in with a shot of a win, coming to start the final lap, but ended up getting caught in the big one that ended the race. Didn't end the race, but happened on the final lap. John Crow Sr., William Kruska, Philip Resch, Alex Bowser, Chris Goff, Hayden Wheeler, and Drew Bernardi.
And these guys put on a fantastic bit of racing as we continue to work our way through here. Our race results, all these drivers multiple laps down, whether it's Pete's, Rickard, Zames, Hughes, all those guys 4 to 5 laps down, and then Kramer, Boatwright, Lambert, Capers, Nova, and Frisch, all those guys at least half the race down as we continue to work our way here through the race results. These guys really realized, I think, at the front of the field what this race was all about. In terms of where they finish, and realize it was all or nothing, as all that they really want to do is finish at the front of the field. We had a fantastic run to the white flag and unfortunately did not make it out of turn number 2 as it was a 2-car tandem back to the line.
It doesn't look like we have any drivers ready for interview right now, but we'll give them a couple of minutes.
Now let's take a look real quick here at the the race at least to the white, if not through that to the through turn 2. I'll take one last look at it. As you see, they take the white here, and
no, this is a restart. This is a restart.
Yeah, so they're gonna take the white, and everything kind of settles down for a second. But once they kind of get settled in, it just becomes a cluster.
Yes, there we go. Now we've skipped ahead to the white flag. So yeah, like you say, we get through, we take a white flag, so we know the race is going to end. The drivers at the back of this 10-truck pack are trying to get together, make something happen, and then they just get together. There's actually a wreck happening out of camera right here, a bit further back, and then third on back start wrecking down the back straight. Chris Brown and the number 7 just parts his way through the field and goes on to finish third. And I think Haran Riolo was just way too late making his move out of turn 4. He never really got a good run. So that's the first wreck that took out the drivers running about 7th, 8th, and 9th. And then there was another wreck further on down the back straight. Wreck number 1, wreck number 2.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing about that is Wheeler tried to kind of block off the run of Kruska there on the outside and try to hope to maybe get some bump drafting back into turn number 3, and unfortunately did not work out, as we see this tandem work their way out of turn number 4, and he waits, peeks to the outside, and maybe just peeks too far. He might have had a shot if either he timed it a little bit better or if he didn't shoot all the way to the outside wall, but unfortunately did not work. And that's going to lead to a victory for Sean Steering by less than 1/10 of a second.
And this race was being held with a caution on around lap number 17. We stopped to pay tribute to the 17 victims of the Parkland shooting a few years ago. And this race is being held in honor of them. And to help donate to their cause, you can go to shinemsd.networkforgood.com, where you can donate to help keep gun violence under control, help fight gun violence, and try and prevent any incidents like that from taking place again in the future. And also, in addition, we have a few other people we'd like to thank for tonight's broadcast. First off, we want to let you know that if you go to the Majors Garage, it is a home of free Baseline Plus setups, and they have 24/7 coaching and more. You can head to majorsgarage.com and use their special discount code to get, and that is Majors GSRC, and you can get 10% off. There was a fixed setup race here today, but we know on open setup, boy, these major setups do make a difference. We would like to thank all of the organisers and the competitors in the Sim Racers for Mental Health series for coming out here tonight and putting on a chaotic show, but we got there. Additional thanks goes out to the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcasts, and you can see those listed on your screen. Also, thanks to June Lalonde, who provides us with our music. See the screen for how to get a hold of more of her great work. Thanks to the team today, Zach, Chad, and Dougie. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com, or you can check us out on Twitter at GSR Channel, Facebook at facebook.com/Global SimRacing Channel, and Instagram at GSRC_Gram. The Sim Racers for Mental Health will be back in action at the same time next week with the Cup Cars right here at Daytona. All of our upcoming races for our other series are listed on your screen, so be sure to check those out, mark them down on your calendar, and don't miss another second of exciting racing action. But until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.